In the beginning, in the celestial realm of heaven, God created the angels. They were beings of pure light and immense power, made to serve their Creator. Among these magnificent beings was one named Lucifer, which means light bringer. He was the most beautiful and intelligent of all the angels, a masterpiece of God's creation. God had given Lucifer a position of great honor and authority. He was a guardian cherub, anointed and set apart, walking among the fiery stones of God's mountain. He was adorned with every precious stone imaginable. His brilliance outshone all other angels, and his wisdom was unparalleled. He was perfect in his ways from his creation. His voice led the heavenly choir in songs of praise to God. The harmonies he created filled the heavens with a glorious sound that echoed throughout the eternal kingdom. All of heaven admired him for his splendor and his powerful presence. The other angels looked up to him as a leader, a shining example of divine perfection. He was close to the very throne of God, a trusted and beloved servant. He understood the mind of God more than any other created being in the universe. God showered him with honor and glory, delighting in the perfection of his creation. Lucifer's existence was one of pure joy, peace, and closeness to the divine source. For a long time, Lucifer served faithfully, fulfilling his duties with grace and power. Heaven was a place of perfect harmony, where love and worship flowed freely toward God. His heart was filled with light, reflecting the glory of his Maker. He was the morning star, a symbol of the dawn and the beauty of a new day. But one day, a dark thought began to form in Lucifer's perfect mind. He started looking at his own reflection, marveling at his great beauty and immense wisdom. This self-admiration slowly turned into a dangerous and consuming pride. He began to believe that his own light was the source of his power, forgetting his Creator. His heart was lifted up because of his beauty. His wisdom became corrupted by reason of his own brightness. He started to feel dissatisfied with his high position. He looked upon the throne of God, the center of all power and authority. A treacherous desire began to grow within him. He wanted that throne for himself. He thought, "Why should I serve? I am as wise and powerful as God. I deserve to be worshipped and adored by all the other angels in heaven." He no longer saw God as a loving creator, but as a rival. He started to view God's supreme authority not as a source of order, but as a restriction. The love he once had for God started to fade away completely. It was replaced by a cold ambition and a burning desire for ultimate power and total control. He secretly harbored these rebellious thoughts, hiding them behind his beautiful exterior. He continued to lead the songs of praise, but his heart was no longer in them. He began to believe that he could rule the universe much better than God. He envisioned a new order, with himself at the very center of everything. This dark ambition consumed his every thought, twisting his once perfect nature. The Lightbringer was slowly, but surely, beginning to embrace the deepest, most profound form of darkness. He made a fateful decision in the depths of his proud heart. He said to himself, "I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above God's stars. I will also sit on the mount of the congregation on the farthest sides of the north. I will be the one who everyone looks up to. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds," he secretly vowed. "I will make myself like the Most High. My will, not his, shall be done." His plan was set, a silent declaration of war against his own Maker. The most glorious angel had chosen the path of rebellion, treason, and ultimate self-destruction. The perfect harmony of heaven was now on the brink of being shattered forever. A choice made in pride was about to bring unimaginable conflict and deep sorrow. Lucifer then began to subtly spread his discontent to the other angels. He approached them with cunning words, planting seeds of doubt about God's just and loving character. He whispered that God was a tyrant, unfairly demanding worship and obedience. He suggested that God was withholding true freedom and knowledge from all of his angelic creations. He presented himself as a champion of the angels, a liberator. He promised them greater glory, more power, and a new kind of freedom they had never known. Many angels, swayed by his powerful charisma and convincing arguments, began to listen. They were mesmerized by his beauty and the grandeur of the promises he was making. The poison of his lies spread like a dark cloud through the celestial realms. Doubt and confusion started to replace the once unshakable faith of many heavenly beings. He gathered a large following, a significant portion of the angelic host. They rallied to his cause, believing his lies that they were fighting for a much greater good. He created a faction, a rebel army poised to challenge the authority of God. The unity of heaven was broken, divided into two opposing sides, loyalty versus rebellion. The loyal angels, led by the Archangel Michael, were deeply troubled. They could not understand how their brother Lucifer could turn against the source of all goodness and light. They tried to reason with the rebellious angels, urging them to turn back. But their hearts had been hardened by pride and the deceptive promises of their charismatic leader. The stage was set for a terrible conflict, a war in heaven itself. The choice had been made, the lines had been drawn, and there was no turning back. This celestial conflict was not fought with physical weapons like swords or spears. It was a war of principles, a clash between truth and lies, loyalty and rebellion. Lucifer's argument was that God's law was restrictive and unnecessary. He claimed that angels should be free to follow their own will, without any external authority over them. Michael and the loyal angels countered that God's law was a reflection of his character. It was the foundation of peace, harmony, and true freedom for all beings. A debate raged throughout the heavens, a great controversy of cosmic proportions. Every angel was forced to choose a side in this unprecedented and monumental spiritual struggle. Finally, the time for talking was over. The rebellion escalated from a war of words and ideas into an open and cataclysmic conflict that would change eternity forever. War broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought back with all of their might and their fury. Lucifer, now revealed as the great dragon, led his forces with fierce determination. He truly believed that his power was great enough to overthrow the government of God. The heavens, once a place of perfect peace, were now a battlefield. The clash of wills between the loyal and rebellious angels shook the very foundations of the universe. Light battled against the encroaching darkness. The songs of praise were replaced by the terrible sounds of spiritual warfare, a conflict of unimaginable scale and frightening intensity. Michael, whose name means "who is like God," stood as the champion of the Lord. He led the loyal angels with courage and an unwavering faith in God's power. The rebel angels fought with the desperation of those who had everything to lose. They had staked their entire existence on Lucifer's promise of victory and ultimate glory. For a moment, the outcome seemed uncertain as the two mighty armies clashed. The power of the rebellious faction was immense, a testament to their former high standing. But Lucifer and his followers were not strong enough to prevail. Their power, derived from God, could not overcome the source of that power, God himself. Pride, selfishness, and lies are no match for humility, love, and truth. The rebellion, born of darkness, could not extinguish the eternal and all-consuming light of heaven. The forces of evil began to falter and then to break apart completely. The rebel army was routed, their strength failing against the might of the loyal heavenly host. Lucifer was defeated. His bid for the throne of the universe had failed spectacularly. His pride had led him and his followers to utter and complete ruin. The great battle was over, and the side of righteousness had won. But the victory was bittersweet, for so many had been lost to the darkness of rebellion. After their defeat, there was no longer a place found for them in heaven. The purity of that realm could not tolerate the presence of sin and rebellion. So the great dragon was cast out of the heavenly courts forever. that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was hurled down to the earth in a great, cataclysmic fall. His dream of ascending to the highest heaven ended with him being cast down to a lower realm. And all of his angels, the third of the heavenly host he deceived, were cast out with him. They shared in his rebellion, and so they shared his fate. They fell like a bolt of lightning from the sky, a trail of fading light. Their glorious home was lost to them, a paradise they could never re-enter. Their beautiful, light-filled forms were twisted and corrupted by their evil choices. They became grotesque parodies of their former selves, filled with malice and deep-seated hatred. Lucifer, the radiant light-bringer, became Satan, the adversary. His new name reflected his new character, the sworn enemy of God and all that is good and holy. Their fall was a profound tragedy, a scar on the history of the universe. The memory of their choice would serve as a solemn warning against pride for all time. As they were cast out, a loud voice was heard in heaven, proclaiming victory. Now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God, and the authority of his Christ has been established. The voice continued, for the accuser of our brethren has been thrown down, who accuses them day and night. Heaven rejoiced that the rebellion was over and that peace was restored. But there was also great sorrow for the brothers who had been lost to the darkness. The war had ended in heaven, but it was just beginning elsewhere. Satan and his fallen angels, now called demons, brought their conflict and their hatred to earth. Their new mission was to corrupt and destroy God's latest creation, humanity. They sought to tempt mankind into the same path of rebellion that had led to their ruin. Satan, full of rage, knew his time was short. He focused all of his cunning and deceptive power on Adam and Eve in the beautiful Garden of Eden. He appeared to Eve as a serpent, one of the craftiest of the beasts. He questioned God's command, just as he had questioned God's authority in the heavens. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? He asked. He twisted God's words, making God seem unreasonable and overly restrictive. He promised Eve that if she ate the forbidden fruit, she would not die. Instead, he lied, "Your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God." It was the same lie he had told himself, the same temptation of pride. He offered humanity the chance to be their own gods, independent of their creator. Tragically, Adam and Eve chose to believe the serpent's lie over God's truth. They ate the fruit, and in that act of disobedience, sin entered the world. The fall of man was a direct result of the fall of Lucifer. The conflict that began in heaven had now spread to the earth, with humanity as its prize. Sin brought with it suffering, disease, and death into a once perfect world. The harmony between God and humanity, and between humanity and nature, was now completely broken. Satan had achieved a temporary victory, succeeding in marring God's perfect creation. He became the prince of this world, a ruler of darkness, and a master of deception. His kingdom is one of chaos, hatred, pain, and ultimate despair. He and his demons work relentlessly to oppose God's plan of salvation for the human race. They tempt people to sin, fill their minds with doubt, and promote selfishness. Their goal is to drag as many souls as they can down with them. The story of Lucifer's fall is a powerful and sobering cautionary tale. It shows how even the most perfect being can be brought down by a single flaw: pride. Pride is the root of all sin, because it places the self above God. It is the desire to be independent, to be one's own authority and master. It leads to rebellion, envy, and a lust for power that can never be satisfied. It corrupts wisdom, twists beauty, and turns love into bitter, unending hatred. Lucifer had everything: beauty, wisdom, power, and a place of high honor. But he wanted more, and in his quest for more, he lost everything he had. He chose to be the center of his own universe, rather than orbiting God. This selfish choice plunged him into darkness and brought untold misery to countless others. The earth became the new battlefield in the great cosmic war between good and evil. Every human heart is a territory contested by the forces of Christ and Satan. We are all faced with the same choice that Lucifer and the angels faced. Will we trust and obey God, or will we follow our own prideful desires? Satan's methods have not changed since his fall from the heavenly courts. He still uses lies, half-truths, and false promises to deceive and to lead astray. He makes sin look attractive and exciting, hiding its deadly consequences. He presents rebellion as freedom, and obedience to God as a form of harsh bondage. He is the master accuser, constantly reminding us of our past failures and sins. He wants us to feel hopeless, separated from God's love and His divine mercy. But the story does not end with Satan's victory in the Garden of Eden. God had a plan to redeem humanity and to ultimately defeat the forces of evil. He sent His own Son, Jesus Christ, to earth to live a perfect life. Jesus came to show us the true character of God, a character of love. On the cross, Jesus took the punishment for our sins upon Himself. He defeated death and broke the power of Satan over all those who believe in Him. Through faith in Jesus, we can be forgiven and restored to a right relationship. We are given the power to overcome temptation and to choose God's will over our own. The war still rages on, but the final outcome is no longer in doubt. Satan's ultimate doom was sealed at the cross, and his final defeat is certain. There will come a day when Jesus returns to earth in glory and power. He will put an end to all evil, suffering, and death once and for all. Satan and his demons, along with all who chose to follow them, will be cast into the lake of fire, a place of final and eternal punishment. Their rebellion will be completely and utterly vanquished for all of eternity. The universe will finally be cleansed of the stain of sin and dark rebellion. God will then create a new heaven and a new earth for His redeemed people. It will be a place of perfect peace, joy, and everlasting righteousness. In this new creation, there will be no more tears, pain, or sorrow. God Himself will dwell with His people, and they will see His face. The memory of Lucifer's fall serves as a constant, sobering reminder for all eternity. It is a testament to the destructive power of pride and sinful self-exaltation. It highlights the infinite justice and mercy of God, who triumphs over evil. His love provides a way of escape from the darkness that Satan brought into the world. The choice remains before us: to follow the path of humility and love, or to follow the path of pride and rebellion that led to Lucifer's tragic downfall. In the end, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. The light will triumph, and God's kingdom will stand forever and ever. Amen.